Tyrannical Maul. Although few can craft the refined weapons of earlier times, enough knowledge remains to forge metal and wood into deadly forms. What goes up must come down hard. Well, that's just straight up better than the runic axe, so sure. But then again, it started off upgraded, so tyrannical though it may be, I guess I'm using it. Also, I am just continually going to do the heavy attack when I mean to throw a spear. I think that's a thing that's just gonna happen. I wish that there were a button to just hot throw a spear, you know? Like, just to aim it without thinking. Oh, thank God. Nice. Now, I don't want all these enemies to respawn, so we're just gonna head back out, actually, and do the rest of the side quests here, but... oh, thank goodness. Let's go this way. Yeah, I wish there was a button to just aim the spear, even if you didn't have it, like, equipped. Just for brevity's sake. It's just a little clunky. It's not that bad. It's not like... it doesn't ruin the mechanic, cause it just makes it so that it's kind of hard to throw the spears in the middle of combat. Oh, Isla. Bye. See you later, Isla. Sorry, I kind of got distracted. Oh, now I'm on my own. These days I always get nervous when I'm hanging out by myself in these areas. In areas that are more familiar, I'm fine with it, but when I'm exploring just on my own for like the first time, I'm just, oh no. Oh no. It always makes me so nervous. I believe that I believe I said this a very long time ago now, but the game has a completely different atmosphere when you're wandering around by yourself that I think is so cool. It's so cool that the tone of the game changes so much, just based on whether you're hanging out with someone or not. I imagine that it would be even more different if you were like playing with another, like physically playing with another person. It would be a totally different atmosphere of camaraderie. Alright, well, I guess I'm going to that one. Guess we're making a run for it. Oh, those statues really creep me out. Especially that big one. They just, like, with how simple the characters are in this, they just feel like they're about to come to life. The statues look like they could be living creatures in this world. I mean, we've seen enemies that are made out of wood before, so it's not out of the realm of possibility. The way you teleport right into their arms, too. I'm sure that's intended to unnerve you. Because it certainly unnerves me. Let's go up there. Nope, close. I guess I don't mind this area, in terms of the platforming and the verticality of it. I think verticality in a game like this, where the platforming is better emphasized, can be really interesting. Again, a little bit butt clenching, perhaps. Definitely feeling the butt clench here, but it can be a very interesting challenge. Oh, look at that. There's just a thing sitting here. It's just a talisman. Your successful charged attacks cause a small explosion, dealing bonus damage and stun. Orly's Fuse. Cool. Alright. Well, I guess I'll go that way now, and then I'll circle around, because I think that's the cauldron right there. Oh? It's Sealoren. Hey, how did you get here? Do you have spears? Sealoren's immediately getting her butt kicked, but that's fine. I would rather get our butts kicked together than get my butt kicked alone. Makes me feel a little bit better about myself, to be honest. To know that I'm not the only one getting whipped. Okay. Looks like that's the end of the road here. I think. I can't really tell, but... Hup. Oh! Damn it. I was kind of screwed over there because your character rolls when they land from a jump. Damn it. Well, that does not stop those guys. Those guys cannot be stopped once they start charging. That's for sure. Guess I know the feeling. It's kind of like when I get motivated. I never, ever give up. Ever. Which I guess can be a benefit and a deficit. Okay. This time, I'm going to do a short hop off of a long boardwalk. Get myself a cauldron. There's an item over there. I'll go and pick up that item and then we'll leave. Guess this is as safe of a spot as any to go back to Vagrant's Rest. I suppose it's useless making plans. You know, talking about like, I'm only going to go back to Vagrant's Rest when these conditions are fulfilled. There's not really any point in it, is there? Because I guess at this point, I never know what to expect out of this game. And I really like that. I really like that I can't really predict what's coming next at this point. It could be 1,000 miles to the next ritual stone, or it could be right around the corner. The game continues to surprise me in very interesting ways that I like. I genuinely like. Oh, look at this. This little house is finished now. Nice. Looks cozy. Very cozy. Got a guy warming his hands by the fire and everything. I like the aesthetic. I like the white on brown of this area. It's very, again, cozy. It's very homey. It reminds me of Italy a little bit. Cool. Oh, look at this! Whoa! Celerin's got herself a big house with a appropriately big door. Okay. Give her that cauldron. It's all yours, my large friend.
Yes. Give me the cauldron so that I might once again enjoy the fragrances of this world. And of course, brew more potent potions to aid you in our hunt for the Ashen.
No problem. Enjoy smelling with your nose that you have.
Thank you. Long have I dreamt of this moment. After all, a decantress is of little use without her sense of smell. Beautiful sights and rich smells are again mine to enjoy. Thanks to you. Yet my numb fingers still fumble like drunken fools. A world seed will nourish and invigorate my deadened digits. Amiren had one, but she gave it to her executioner, a brutal listener named Taleran. With my sister's death, he will have fled to the Featherlands, his home. Find him and take the seed from his dead hands.
Well, there's not many people to execute, what with Amiren being in the afterlife now, so I guess he has no more purpose to serve in this world either. So, sure, I guess I'll just go wantonly end his life. Wages of cruelty indeed. Perhaps that's a direct reference to how I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with all of this killing they're now having me do. I've kind of noticed a theme here with the side quests. Go here and kill this guy for me, and take his stuff so that I can have it. We got the cauldron. And also the talisman that the eyeless target was holding. After surviving the darkness for generations, The return of the light has ignited an inferno of change and treachery among the peoples of fallen Lethyrus. Fishing alone is fine. No one need hear you scream when the fangfish get you. True. Very true. When the Ashen fell from the Tree of Worlds, Cisna was the first of the Elder Dark to gain supremacy. In her cauldron, she brewed such potent shadows that even Riak and Ukoto could not withstand. The three Elder Dark were born in the age before the light, so their relics contain only the darkest of power. Well, I guess people like our Amazonian friend here can really channel that kind of stuff. Better than I can, anyway. Couple more potions unlocked. Trembling Panacea. Your dodges cost less stamina while you're in good health. Well, that one doesn't have a downside at all, really. Nice. Innervating Nectar. Your next weapon strike deals bonus stun. Oh, that's probably real good for heavy weapons. You could just knock out anybody with that. Nice. Now it's time to go talk to Isla. That's 2 out of 3. I get the feeling you're gonna make me go do the third as well.
Without Fiske and these sparking spears, my tribe can be proper free now. Now, you mind handing Fiske's lore over? I'm keen to find it a better home.
Like my pockets.
Honestly, can't fathom what went wrong with them boys, Ake and Fiske. I reckons there's some shadowy whisperings behind all this. Mark my words.
Oh gee, I wonder if that is the case in the Age of Darkness and all of that.
Now that the business of salvation is done and dusted, let's get on to the personal stuff. That Corey, what thought this whole fracas up, he needs to pay for what he started.
Agreed.
Don't know whether you'd call this justice or vengeance, really. To me mind, it don't matter either way. It all ends the same, don't it?
Boy, it sure does. Again, I'm noticing a theme here.
The slimy worm has managed to slither his way into the good books of a Letharian clan. He's tucked up nice and cozy in their fort near the Bronzed Mire. Fancy some snake hunting?
Absolutely. Consider me the Snake Eater. And I'm out to get revenge/vengeance. Wonder what you'd call some kind of combination of revenge/vengeance. Let us ponder on that. We've got another relic to take a look at here before we call it a day. The location for that has been moved inside, correct, yes, right. They built the house around the workstation. Yes. So we got Protector. Your stun is increased when your companion is in good health. Well, they often are not, so I'm not going to pick that one, but in co-op that would be quite useful. And another relic. Your successful charged attacks cause a small explosion, dealing bonus damage and stun. Static energy sparks from the wearer's weapon, allowing them to charge their attacks for heftier damage and a larger area of effect. There's power everywhere. You just have to know how to harness it. Well, my enemies do, so I will actually consider that one, because I haven't been using charged attacks much, so it might be interesting to change things up a little bit. In fact, I have a feeling that a lot of things are going to change pretty soon, because my toolkit increases, my enemies get stronger, and we travel further and further away from Vagrant's Rest with every new adventure. We're actually out of side quests right now, pretty much. I take that back. Vorsa's got something new for us. Okay. I was about to say that we could proceed with the main quest, but no. Our casual leanin' friend here has more for us to do. What's up?
Bataran and I talked about the core bile and decided it's too caustic to use. The Houndtail, however, now that's more promising. And now Siluran's told me of another great beast in the Bronzed Mire, a Romar. Romar horn holds some powerful medicine, and this Romar seems untouched by light sickness.
Okay. We'll go and do that then when we're in the area. Need to make it through that mountain pass first, unfortunately, and I think that's going to be an uphill battle in more ways than one. My thoughts on Ashen continue to evolve. I think with every passing session, I gain a deeper appreciation for this game. I'm starting to understand the flaws in it, though, as I go along. Flaws that were not necessarily apparent right from the beginning. I think if I were to call it a flaw, if I were to pick something to call a flaw, I guess it would be the difficulty increase. It really is becoming a sticking point for me, because we have come so far, and our power has increased so much, and yet I don't actually feel any stronger than I was at the start of the game. In a lot of games, I think that would be an appropriate way to represent a level curve. The enemies get stronger, and you have to actively try to get stronger to keep up with them. If you don't put in the effort, then you fall behind. But I think the problem comes when you're struggling to catch up to the enemies, instead of that struggle being put towards becoming more powerful than them. I think this game has it in a backwards order, almost, where the correct progression would be you get stronger, and then the enemies get stronger to match you, and then you get stronger, and so on and so on. But it seems like this game is taking it in the opposite direction. The enemies get stronger, and I have to struggle along until I get to the point at which they have decided that I am appropriate for fighting them, and by that point they've gotten stronger again. It's a loop that I think could have used a little bit more ironing out, because I'm dying more and more as we go along. The encounters are becoming more and more challenging, but I don't feel like I'm any more capable or ready to handle them as my stats increase. And is that a fatal flaw? No. I am absolutely enjoying every moment of the combat in this game, difficult though it may be now. But looking back on how simple it was at the beginning, compared to how it has evolved up till now, it leaves me wondering how much harder it's going to get before the end, and if I will actually be able to handle the challenge when it comes. I'm sure I'll be able to persevere, but I'm wondering if at that point it will actually be any fun anymore. I'm optimistic. I think it will. Thus far they've struck a pretty good balance, but it's starting to slowly get out of whack a little bit, and I think this game would grow a lot better with experience. Like a second playthrough or a third playthrough even. Knowing what you're doing, I think, would make things vastly easier. But I guess I'll talk about that for a little bit since I'm sitting here already. This is the problem that I see with games like Dark Souls, games like The Surge, games like Immortal Unchained, right? A lot of video games are built around the first time experience, where the player is expected to play through it once and then stop. A lot of story-based games are that way. A lot of story-based games have no replayability whatsoever because they're just not intended to be that way. They weren't designed with playing them multiple times in mind. Think towards Max Payne 3 for an example that I touch on a lot, right? Max Payne 3 is a game that I enjoy. It's one of my favorite video games, but I acknowledge that the long cutscenes and the gaps in the action in Max Payne 3 make it a lot harder to replay the game after you've played it and enjoyed the story. Max Payne 3 gets around that by implementing an arcade mode, where you don't have to play through the story chapter by chapter, but you still have to watch the cutscenes, and that is a flaw with the game that I would consider to drag it down so much that a lot of people probably never even bothered. And that's a shame, because underneath the presentation of a game like Max Payne 3 lies gameplay that you can master, gameplay that has just enough complexity that you can really learn to appreciate it beyond just Twitch reaction time shooting enemies in the head. You have to balance, like, when you use your bullet time, strategically going into last man standing to conserve on painkillers or take enemies out easily in slow motion, and all kinds of stuff I've learned from speedrunning the game, right? But other games, such as, for example, Resident Evil 2 recently came out, and that game is being prided. It is being greatly praised for anticipating that the player will play through it multiple times. And I think Dark Souls and other such games like Ashen here, fall in a weird middle ground where they are designed to become easier with your increasing experience, as a lot of video games are. Obviously, the more time you spend, the more likely you are to get better. The more aware you become of situations and how to handle them with your skill set as it increases across your first playthrough. The skills that I'm learning by playing through this game blind will apply to every playthrough that I do from here on. But where I think games like Dark Souls, especially Dark Souls, this is a criticism I have of Dark Souls, is I feel like where they falter a little bit is being such long, expansive journeys that it's kind of meaningless. Again, they fall into middle ground, where they're designed to utilize your experience for future playthroughs or future attempts, future runs of the same area. You know where the enemies are, you know where the pickups are and what they contain, you know the weaknesses of the enemies in the area and all of that stuff. That applies for the rest of your playthrough, sure, but it also applies to any other playthrough you would do. But the problem I suppose, is that they're such long games that they're not easy to replay. You go on such a long journey and see so many sights, so many varieties of enemies across so much raw, unfiltered gameplay and difficulty and struggling, that I'm sure it's the same situation as a game like Red Dead Redemption came out recently, where you play it and it's just so damn long that it doesn't really matter that you've built up your skills over the course of it. You don't want to play it again because it's just such an investment. And unfortunately, as unfortunate as it is, I think Ashen is turning out that same way. Not for me. I'm going to play this game a lot more, to try out all the different ways you can experience it outside of, for example, the blind playthrough. But I think that this sliding difficulty scale, where you have to get used to it every time it increases, only hurts the chances of people replaying it. And I don't think that's something that's necessarily solvable real easily. You just make a shorter game. But if you made a shorter game, then you wouldn't be able to put your skills to use for as long. And so the difficulty curve would have to be even sharper, and you run into all of these problems with making a game like this not be an epic, world-spanning adventure. It's really interesting, and I'd like to hear your own thoughts on this, because I've sat here talking about it for 10 minutes now. I've put a lot of investment into explaining my feelings. Maybe, I'd appreciate some feedback, some dialogue about it. I think we have a real opportunity here to establish a back and forth on where games like Dark Souls, The Surge, Immortal Unchained, Ashen, even games like Dragon Age, action RPGs in general, succeed and where they fail, the trappings that they fall into, trying to provide a cohesive experience for the first-time player while also being a cohesive experience for people like me, nutsos who play the same games over and over again just for fun. I really look forward to hearing what you think.